Hey, it's been a little while since a previous update on any of these, so just wanted to hit a brief update on things that have been going on. Mainly the PAX East panel that came down over the weekend. Just a relatively briefly update everyone on a few things, mainly how things are going at the Escapist and what went over at the big panel at PAX West over the weekend, like I just said. For those who didn't already know, just for the catch-up, the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad management that had been running the Escapist for the last few years drove pretty much every critter off the site except for Yahtzee Croshaw, host of Zero Punctuation, great guy. And me, and then eventually me, and just kind of let the remnants of Gamergate trash infest the place, and it turned out that pandering exclusively to alt-right Nazi shitbags is just not actually a good business strategy, even in the Trump era, because they drove that straight directly into the ground, and some of the good folks who were in charge back when it was worth a damn are now picking up the pieces and are putting it back together as something worthwhile, and have asked me to come on board and help them make it livable again. Anyway, the current editor-in-chief of the place, who's in charge of all of this, the mastermind, if you will, a guy named Russ Pitts, he was the editor-in-chief back when I got hired the first time. He's the mastermind behind all this, and he invited myself, Graham Stark from Loading Ready Run, also a great dude, and Yahtzee out to PAX Prime for a panel that was supposed to just, air everything out, answer people's questions, reintroduce the brand, talk about what the plans were to get the site rolling and whatnot. And, leading up to all of this, a lot of us were excited, maybe a little apprehensive after catching up and saying, hey, it's been a while since we've been at one of these, for example. For a while, the Escapist was hosting its own convention. They had, two official ones and then an unofficial one hosted by a different thing down in North Carolina where it was based. That were actually very positive experiences, but for the presence of the owner for a while of the Escapist, who was sort of the founder of it, who turned out to be, the negative presence that kind of ruined the whole experiment. But a very good thing with it was really the last time that the four of us, at least, were together in anything, working together for first time I've seen Yahtzee in forever. Nice guy, really good to hang out with him again. Spent actually quite a big portion of at least one day just kind of hanging out, shooting the shit, catching up. He's had a lot going on in his life. Super guy. He has a personality online with the Zero Punctuation, where he's the fast-talking, cynical, sort of, dry-witted, bitter guy that really works for him. And I think a lot of people do not put enough credit in or really grasp that, in person, he is just a terrific guy, and he keeps a low profile, and I respect him. But people would, I think, be very surprised to find out what a genuinely good dude he is. I always have at least one big memory that I take away from panels and conventions and whatnot, and this year, I think the big takeaway will be my memory of sitting down, just having a nice conversation, finding out that Yahtzee had never actually seen, had only heard of, but growing up outside the United States, he was born in England, lived for a long time in Australia, now resides in the US, I learned, as it turns out, which is cool. That probably means we can collaborate on a few more things. Had never actually watched the film Revenge of the Nerds, which is sort of a staple, or was a staple for, men of my generation growing up here. And watching the look of horror and disbelief come over his face as I related the plot of the film Revenge of the Nerds, right around the time of, the sort of makes sense going up to a point, and then when I get to the point of, oh, and yes, they join the nerds in the film join a historically black fraternity, and the film portrays this in a very literal fashion as, oh, no, we understand oppression, so you're in, and that's the theme of the film. Cultural things that Americans and Brits and whatnot do not necessarily share back and forth, that would be surprising to one another, especially in terms of comedy sensibilities, how, Americans sort of know Monty Python and Benny Hill, and that's it. But, that was really something to see. It's like, wow, yeah, when you say it out loud, that is even more uncomfortable than you thought. And that was even before I got to the part about the rape thing in, the rape scene, really, in Revenge of the Nerds, which is not referred to as such, but really absolutely is. Anyway, so we had this big panel. where we were set up to talk about, hey, we're going to talk about that the Escapist is coming back, we're going to talk about where it came from. Russ ended up playing each of our that were on the stage. Mine, Graham Stark, who was from Loading Ready Run, who had a bunch of different things on the Escapist before they went off and became their own independent entity, and are some of the most successful independent video sketch comedians on the web. Just a terrific bunch of people. I ended up playing our first videos for Yahtzee. That was the review of the zero punctuation review of The Darkness on the Escapist, and true to form, it's, he was exactly as good as he is now right off the bat back then, and he knew what worked right away, and he's stuck with it, and he's done, he's expanded himself out in other ways and just did terrific stuff. For people who didn't know, Loading Ready Run sort of began their thing on the Escapist with Unskippable, which was sort of Mystery Science Theater riffing on video game cutscenes, which was a genius idea, and it was hilarious to see, and, again, funny right off the start. The first thing they ran for mine that they had was not the first thing that I sent to them, but was the review of Up, which you can see, which is the oldest thing of mine that still exists on the Escapist. The first thing I did, I think, was like an Oscar show thing about how, like, a great injustice that it was that The Dark Knight wasn't nominated for an Oscar, which I still do think it was true that The Dark Knight should have been nominated for an Oscar, but man, that first video was really bad, and I'm glad that they didn't show it. And, the Up review, you can still see it online. It was pretty good. It's one of the early ones where it kind of took me forever to get to the point of actually, like, doing the review, because I was, doing a lot of build-up of lead-in and description and making a bunch of jokes up front that didn't really fit and were more, I know all this stuff about this movie, let me show it off, ha ha ha. But it was pretty good. I spent most of the showing of it, which was about a 7-minute video, showing in the big hall where this was taking place in the Sasquatch Theater, I think, for folks who know the map at PAX Prime. I spent most of this just kind of cringing in my seat because I was thinking, oh god, this is it's a Pixar review from 2006 or 2008 or something. Oh god, I must have said something really nice about Lasseter. I must have gone on and on about how great Lasseter is. Oh god, this is going to be so dated and cringy. And no, it turns out I didn't. So thankfully, there was not a whole bunch of oh my god, John Lasseter, you're so wonderful stuff in there that I would now have to, put a blinker on today and say, hey, back then we didn't know he was going to get accused of a whole bunch of, gross stuff. Ew. But so after that, we were going to open up the floor to questions. And this was what we'd been preparing for, was, okay, we're going to open it up. We're going to talk about Gamergate and anything you want to know. We're going to talk about all the bad shit that happened, and the guy running the Escapist turning out to be a creepy right-wing zealot who was feeding information about the people who worked at the Escapist to his political nemesis outside the site and getting people in trouble, and sold out his own employees and content creators, and was getting in bed with, the Breitbart people and Milo and all these shitbags and all these people who later, wound up taking all the shit that they learned running Gamergate as like a trial run and turning it into the Trump campaign and whatnot. All of this stuff, all of the bullshit, and just kind of set all of the theories to rest. And we were totally expecting people to be jumping up from the audience and saying, I'm from, and I'm from one of these other harassment websites on Reddit or 4chan or 8chan or whatever the bullshit is now. Totally expecting guys to be, popping up yelling about, oh, you bunch of cucks, what are you gonna do to the Escapist? And, maybe someone that goes like, hey, Movie Bob, why are you such a eugenicist? Why do you want to kill all Republicans? Yeah, and all this horse shit that gets thrown around. And we were totally ready and set to talk about all the bullshit and just air everything out and get it done. And, we told the PAX security about something that, hey, this might get mentioned. Anyone we want to toss out, let us know. We'll toss them. It was a whole thing we were ready for. And we ran the videos, and we said our piece each about, how things went bad and how we were here to put things back together and make the site worthwhile again. And, you can read Russ's stuff online about what he said there and what is welcome on the Escapist again and what is no longer welcome. And I'm in full support of the what is no longer welcome part because, fuck those guys. But, once people got up to, ask questions, it was nuts because people just got up and it was immediately, Hey Yahtzee, where do you get your references and jokes from? Hey Bob, what is going to be on Schlocktober this year? I'm still working that out. I'm not going to tell you yet. I didn't tell them yet. I'm not going to tell you yet. Hey Graham, is Unskippable going to come back? Hey, what kind of content's going to come back? Who are you going to get back on the site? And it was mostly, other than the who is coming back and when stuff, it was as though the Escapist had never gone away or turned into another thing. No one who stood up, no one started anything. That's the main thing. All of the thoughts that anyone might have had, and I saw, people posting shit online, because just for my own safety and security, I have to monitor the shit that gets said about me, my friends and family, my colleagues, and online and such. So I was fully prepared for people to get up and cause trouble, and, I wasn't hoping for it, but I was ready for it. And instead, no one did. No one jumped up to cause trouble. Nobody mentioned the GG word. Nobody even got up to ask, Comicsgate question stuff, which we were also ready for, because that's a definitely swirling around in topic. Stay tuned. None of it happened. No one said anything. No one got up to pull any bullshit. And they put us in one of the bigger halls, and it didn't fill up, but it was 2/3 of the way full. Not bad for a website that has basically been dead, posting basically one guy's videos, one really, really great guy's videos, but still one guy's videos for the better part of 3 years, and that has just a terrible reputation as a site, and has had basically no one running it, and no one really talking about it in a relevant way for a long, long time, almost filling up the room, is pretty impressive. So this was a big crowd, and no one who was there seemed to be there to actually cause any of the trouble that people online were so sure was going to get caused. So for all of the stuff that I saw swirling around of, oh man, people should go there and take pictures or tape it or cause trouble, hold up signs, rush the stage. No, it didn't happen. Didn't fucking happen. And what that, suggests to me, the main thing it points out is, as always, what you gotta remember about the, people who are, mad online is that they're fucking cowards. Is that these people who are Gamergate, Comicsgate, all of these gator trash, all of these people, they're cowards. I know it's a stereotype, and I know that, yes, I say this from a position of privilege, being a straight white guy, but also a straight white guy of, substantial height, size, not insubstantial physical strength. I mean, yeah, I'm a big fat guy, but part of big fat guy is just big. Alright, so, I understand part of the reason that I am not typically worried about these, trolls, leaking into my real life. For myriad reasons, I don't have a particular fear of having, real life repercussions from any of that stuff, and it's because I don't have to, because they go after vulnerable, marginalized people, and I am neither particularly vulnerable, nor am I marginalized. I'm a person of privilege, and I know that. And I don't, discount that. So I'm not saying, I don't want this to be taken as, none of that stuff was ever anything anyone needed to worry about. No, the people who got chased out of their fucking homes and still have to, hide their identities and hide their addresses and such, that was a very real thing that happened. But in the macro, for the most part, these internet mad online assholes, they're cowards. And they don't start shit because they know they can't finish shit. But the number 2 takeaway, and perhaps the biggest one, is that no one really cares anymore about that. And, I mean, the wounds and, the anger and the bitterness is, still fresh on me. I'm still pissed about a lot of that shit that went down. But in terms of the audience, they are not, the refighting these battles is not something that people seem interested in. If there is a genuine interest in, what happened, what went down, what was the truth of that, it didn't manifest there. And you know what? That's fine by me. People were much more interested in, cool, all of this stuff that I really, really liked, a couple of years ago when I was, graduating from college or, my last couple of years of high school. Hey, I used to watch The Big Picture every day. I used to watch Zero Punctuation all the time. I used to watch all of these different things, read these different columns. I'm glad they're back. When are they coming back? When can I see more? That is what people were more interested in, much more so than the whole idea of what happened and what's going to get course corrected and whatnot. And I was sort of looking forward to like correcting the record, and would happily talk to people about, hey, this is what happened, I want to get the real story straight, this is there. But the idea that people really want the Escapist back and want me back and doing like the classic stuff, and they'd really rather just move on from that whole bullshit, is actually much more encouraging. Because it has to be about the work. And that was really gratifying. That it's not just about the novelty of, oh, hey, the good guys came back to beat the bad guys, and we're glad to see, because that only lasts a little while, Like, if the only thing that people who were fans of the big picture on the Escapist and my stuff and my presence there wanted to see was, for me to get it back and, ride in on the white horse and, take all my shit back and say, oh, hey, yeah, I got the last laugh after all. Well, I got that, and it's been 3 episodes now, and I already won that, so, then they'd be under no obligation to stick with. So it's much cooler and a lot better in the long term that people are more interested in, okay, cool, it started up again, good, I missed it, now what's next, keep going. That's encouraging. And, it's good to take a step back once in a while and remember that no matter how important, and it is important, it was important to me, it was important to a lot of people that got hurt and got fucked over and got screwed out of their jobs, money, livelihood, a lot of stuff. A lot of people got fucked way more worse than I did. Let me tell you, it was a good object lesson in understanding, learning, picking up, what people really want. And what people really want is for me to put out good new content and for this site to put out good new stuff. And people seemed really excited about the plans that were had, both for the kind of gaming content that we want to bring out. Stay tuned. I think you're going to be happy. The kind of new stuff that I'm going to be putting out, the kind of new stuff that's going to be going up there. And it was really encouraging to see a whole room full of people, just excited for new cool stuff on this website, and from me and from my colleagues that were up there, and that it was neither about refighting this old battle, whether or not it's still going on for you or not. And that it was also not just about, cleaning up, the leftovers of that. That this is about, okay, it's back, now let's pick up where we left off and go. And, that was not what I was expecting. I really was expecting to, have to sit down and, get the waggy finger out and say, no, you're wrong about that, here's what really happened. And instead, nobody wants to know. The people that can believe the mythology about what happened can, slink off into the slime of the Channer scum forums and make up their little fan fiction stories about me, and that's fine. And they can do whatever. They can have their little myths and post their stupid fucking memes. And, whatever, fuck them. Fuck them. I'm going to do cool new stuff. I'm going to put out awesome content that I hope you like. I'm going to do my best and bust my ass to get great new stuff up onto this site and up onto my sites. Really that good Star Wars. Speaking of stuff that's not going to be going up on the Escapist, script is nearly done, and I hope to start recording that and getting the editing on that real soon. Ended up being longer and more involved of a thing than I thought it would be. But you'll see that coming up next. I got a few more things coming in. Assembling the movie list for Schlocktober this year. Going to be an interesting year. Think you're going to be into it. Had to pull a few things that I wanted to do off because couldn't quite get good copies of movies that I wanted, but I think you're going to like the substitutions as well. But that's what happened at PAX. That was how the panel went. And, you keep watching my stuff. I'll keep making my stuff until I drop dead or get tired of it, or, there's some other way for me to make money at this shit. So please keep watching, and, if you came to the panel, or if you, wanted to, or if you ever, supported me, got on the Movie Bob Patreon, watched the stuff on the Escapist, sent me any kind of money for the books or anything like that over the years, watched this video, clicked through the ads and whatnot, thank you, as always. You keep watching, I'll keep making. Thank you very much.